All right, we're back here for another episode of the 2024 Dixon County Election Podcast. And the past couple of episodes have focused on Burns. And we've got another person who's running for office in Burns today here, and it's Miss Ansley Eleazer. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. So let's talk just a little bit about your campaign running for City Council person of Burns, Town Commissioner of Burns. Those of you who are watching, you know, it's one of those things. It kind of has a few different names, but you've decided to run. And if you don't mind, would you maybe talk to us just a little bit about your background for maybe anybody who's watching who may not know who you are, just maybe some general information about, you know, growing up and things like that?
All right. Yeah, I have lived in Burns 25 years, my whole life. My grandparents actually raised me and my brothers, Joe and Connie Daugherty, which my grandfather was a mayor, which is kind of why I got drug into the whole politics thing. But they raised me, and I lived with them my whole life until they adopted us in, I think it was 2016. And I met my husband in high school, and we've started a little family, and now I get to share everything I love about Burns with my kids. So
talk to me a little bit about why you decided to run, because, you know, politics is kind of a crazy thing, right? You know, you really, some people love it, some people hate it, but, you know, you did decide to run. So it just kind of, I'm just kind of curious, was there an event that happened that just made you decide to run? Is it something that you've always wanted to do? Talk to me a little bit about the motivation for deciding to run for office.
So when I was 16, I started just, I guess, paying attention more on the way to and from town, to and from Dixon, and I started noticing, like, just the trash everywhere. And it's like I'm driving down Johnson Street, and there's literally beer bottles here, Coke cans here, just trash everywhere. And I told my grandfather, I said, you know what, I'm going to start walking, and I'm going to pick up this trash. And that's what I would do, like, every day after school. And sometimes he would even, like, drive beside me, and I would, like, bag it up and throw it in the little truck that we had. And we would go around and we'd pick up the trash together. And he started telling me stories of when he was in office and things that he did, and, like, a carnival that he did, and the 30th anniversary for Burns that he did, and just, like, how it affected the community. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to help people, and I want to keep Burns as charming and its little just cute charming town that it is, because that's why everyone loves Burns, because it's so just simple and small town. And so that's one of my things. I want to keep it clean, and I want it to be cherished like it needs to be, because all these small towns are dying, and I don't want Burns to die.
Absolutely. I mean, that is a big thing right now. If you go to any small town around Tennessee, you know, the people that live there are going to try to, you know, this is where we grew up. We liked it this way. We don't really want it to, you know, become Nashville or one of these big cities. And so, you know, that is kind of the struggle, I think, right now, especially if you're running for an office in a small town, is, you know, deciding, you know, how this place is going to look in the future. So here's my next question. Make sure I'm asking these in the right order here. So talk to me a little bit about why you think you would be good at the city council, why you would be, you know, do a good job at this elected position. And you know, you kind of go different ways with this. Maybe it's something in your personality. Maybe it's a character thing. Maybe it's a experience that you've had in the past. But talk to me about why you think that you would do a good job if you were, you know, to be elected to this position.
So I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my main priority is my children. And that is, like, one of the main reasons why I chose to run. I want to do something that they can be proud of me for. And my just goal in life is to just help as many people as possible. I've always been the type to just give, and I don't have to receive anything in return. I just love helping people and then be able to smile. So I think I would be good for the position because I am the strong, determined woman that is trying to prove something. I feel like a woman on this council would do good because you have the motherly influence. You have the thought of all of the children in the town. That is my first thing. The children should be a priority. There's nothing here for kids. And I think having someone, a like-minded mother on the council, would benefit our town a lot.
Absolutely. It's one of those things. We don't really have a whole lot of places that you can take kids. Of course, we're blessed with an awesome ballpark
Yes.
for kids who get a little bit older and want to participate in rec sports. And we've got some things that we're working on over at the Lonesome Cabin where they're trying to get more field trips to come out. But I do think that with the kids being our future, that's definitely something that we need to focus on. How can we get kids more involved in the community? So yeah, I definitely think that's a great idea. Talk to me a little bit about next. So you decided to run. It's a hard decision, I know, and I'm sure you soul search a little bit and think, okay, why would I do a good job at this? But then I think the next thing that's kind of natural is, to think about what you would do different. I'm sure when you start, paying attention, like you said, to what's going on, and then you decide to run for office. I'm sure that there's something that you would probably do differently, and I don't want this to come across as, differently from specifically who's in there now, but just differently from like the point of view of like how would you approach this job, maybe differently from anybody, maybe differently from the way that a council person in Charlotte or White Bluff would, but just talk to me a little bit about what you would bring to the table that would be new and unique.
So on growth wise, there needs to be traffic studies and just all the studies, because I know White Bluff has done study after study after study to make sure their town can hold the growth that it's getting, and Burns has not done that. We have not been doing those extensive studies and stuff, and this growth is affecting our citizens whether they want to see it or not. The amount of citizens who have just come to me and been like, is there something we can do about this? Is there something we can do to stop this? And I'm like, we have to all work together to do it. So that is something we need to be doing more studies, and we need to look into these developments and these ways that we're growing before we jump in and say, yes, you can do this, 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 and this, because it really is affecting our town, all the houses that are going up. We need a grocery store, we need a high school, we need stuff that's actually going to benefit us, not more rooftops.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the tough thing when you get to talking about growth, because I grew up here like you did, and when I was real little, of course, we had the elementary school, we didn't have the middle school. So we all went to middle school over in Dixon, and we had a ballpark, which was kind of right over here behind the Burns Church of Christ. Great place to play ball, don't get me wrong, but that new ballpark is fantastic. Yeah. And so I guess what I'm trying to say here is that over the years, Burns has grown, in the sense that, we do have a nice new middle school that I think is attracting people here. We've got a brand new ballpark. We've got parks now that we didn't have when I was a kid. You've got the Lonesome Cabin. They're turning that into a park. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars that are being invested into that place. So that's, great. And, Mayor Grove, or Mayor-elect Grove, I guess because nobody's running against Rusty, I've talked to him, and he's got, another park over off of Camp Ravine. And so you're seeing these improvements to the town, which I would say is growth, I guess, to a certain extent, which has all been, I think, positive, but at the same time, like you said, you don't want it to get too big. So here's my question for you is this. What is your vision for the future of Burns? We do obviously want to improve some things, but we also want to keep the small town feel. I think, like you said, that's what makes you love it. That's also what makes me love it, and why I wanted to bring my kids back here to raise them here like I was raised. So it's kind of a long question to ask here, but basically the question is, where do you see Burns in the future? If you're able to get on this council and you're able to help mold the town the way that you would like to see it, what does that look like maybe in 5, 10, maybe even 20 years?
So, back in 1953, when forefathers wrote the town charter, I don't think they seen us here. I do not think they seen us here at all. And again, that has to do with the studies not being adequately done, but I want Burns to grow. I want it to grow in a way that benefits everyone. I want all of our citizens to be benefiting off of it. I want them to flourish with the town. I just want this to be a happy, small town community. But then again, we're going to have to allow growth, but it needs to be the correct amount and in the correct ways. So what I want for Burns, I want it to grow steadily at its own pace, so that way none of the citizens are hindering from it. Basically, I want us all to benefit, which that should be how it should go anyways.
Right. So I'm going to add a question in here. I'm just going to kind of throw it at you, but because I can kind of tell that you really love Burns. I can tell that from talking to you. Tell me, why do you love Burns? Like, what is it? And I get asked this question a lot because, I could live anywhere, but I love it here. And so I don't mind telling people, why I love it. But talk to me a little bit about what makes Burns special. Why do you love it? Why are you happy to raise your kids here and want to be on the council and things like that?
So my childhood was kind of traumatic, which is one of the reasons why my grandparents had to adopt us. But I have had every single good memory come from this town, like playing on the ballpark, being a cheerleader for the Burns Cowboys. I remember going to the little ballpark that's over here that's now the little pumpkin patch. I remember going over there and playing t-ball. Yeah. And those memories that I cherished with, and in particular, it's my grandfather, my papa. He was my best friend. He was like my ride or die. We were partners in crime. But every good memory I have, it always has either him or my grandmother in it. And that's just something, these areas like the ballpark being sold, when it gets turned into whatever it's getting turned into, all you have left is that memory because you don't get to see that ballpark anymore. And I hate for things to just keep getting turned into new developments and stuff like that, and it's taking away everyone's memory because now all we can talk about is, oh yeah, the ballpark that is now whatever it's going to be, that's where we used to play ball, that's where we did the Cowboys homecoming, that's where we did this, and it's just going to be those memories that you have in your head. And I just hate to see just the history given away. Yeah. And that's one of my main things. I hate losing good history and good memories. Yeah,
well, I have to agree with that one. As a history teacher and as somebody who's spent countless hours trying to understand the local, history of our county and the town of Burns, and it's very valuable holding on to things that remind you of the past. So I definitely can agree with you on that. Now, Ansley, is there anything that we haven't talked about yet? I ask like the same 6 or 7 basic questions, just so people can kind of get an idea of who you are, see your face, hear you talk, things like that. But, is there anything that you specifically want to tell the people of Burns, that may be listening, that are, still trying to make a decision because, early voting is over now, but we still have a few days before the election. There's a lot of people who haven't voted yet. So, is there anything else that you would like to talk about that we haven't yet?
I'm here to work for the people. That is all I care about, and that should be any councilman, commissioner's goal. We're here to work for the people. So I'm here to listen to the citizens. I want to know how they feel, what ways they feel about certain things. I want to work for them. I'm not here for myself. This is solely to save our town, because I don't want to see us become part of Dixon. I don't want to see us become part of White Bluff. I don't want to see us unincorporated. I want Burns to succeed, and I know it will, but it needs the right people in office to do that. And I think Mr. Grove, I think he has amazing ideas, and people between me and him that are like-minded like that want certain things to grow, but slow down on other things. I think that's how this town's going to succeed.
Absolutely. So I want to mention this real quick. We are going to have some election coverage on election night, and I actually just ran into the lady who owns the pizza joint right over here. So some of you may be aware, if you live around here, we have a Mexican restaurant now, which we didn't have a long time ago, and so we're blessed in that regard. We've also got a pizza place that's kind of behind the Mexican restaurant, and it's not really open yet. You're still in the process of kind of getting that together, but on Tuesday night, we're going to have the election. It's going to be a big election. You got national offices. We've got local offices. You can tune into ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox News, whatever, and they're going to tell you who wins the presidency. Not a whole lot of folks that are covering our local elections. So it was actually Mayor Grove's idea. I need to give him his credit here. We talked about this before, but he's really the one that came to me and said, hey, let's do this. And he even talked to Morgan, who owns the restaurant over here. And so we're going to be set up on Tuesday night, and we're going to invite in any candidates that want to come. We'd love to have you come by, Ansley. I've talked to, the other people running for the commission here in Burns. I've invited all of them to come by. We've even invited the folks from White Bluff and from Dixon who are interested and want to come by. More than welcome. I think the reason we're doing it in Burns is just because, hey, we live in Burns, and we just kind of wanted the focus to be over here. But Tuesday night, just after the polls close, or maybe just before, we will go live from 029 Pizza, which is the name of the new pizza place here in Burns. And we're going to cover national politics, the national offices. We'll also cover the local races. And so if you want to know what's going on locally, there's not a whole lot of folks doing that. So we will have that information for you on DCTV, on Dixon County Radio, and all the other pages that I run that you guys probably know about at this point. So so we hope you'll tune in with us on Tuesday night as we bring the live election results from Burns, Tennessee. And as far as I know, it's the first time that anything like this has ever happened in Burns. It's usually held in downtown Dixon. Nothing wrong with that, but as a Burns boy, and with Rusty also being a Burns boy, we just kind of wanted to do something a little different. So we're real excited about that. So Ansley, I got one more question for you here. There are folks who are going to, right after this interview is over, they're going to call me and they're going to say, Justin, I really wish you would have asked this specific question, or I really wish you would have pressed her on this particular subject. But in reality, I just ask a lot of basic questions. And so if anybody wants to ask very specific questions, I would advise them to sort of reach out to the candidate. Do you have contact information? How would somebody get a hold of you if they did want to talk to you before the election? Hey, look, I'm really trying to make a decision here. I just want to ask you a couple of things. How could somebody get a hold of you if they wanted to do that?
So I have an email. It's Ansley, 4, and Burns at gmail.com. So Ansley4Burns at gmail.com. And then I will say you could text me. Don't call, but you could text me at 615-975-7359.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much. We got some visitors in the background. If you hear any kids, we got some folks walking through here. But we're live actually right now from Burns City Hall. So I appreciate you coming out here today, taking time out of your day. I know that you're busy. You got a big campaign. You got a couple of little kids, and the fact that you took time out of your day to come down here and meet with me, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing it.
Yeah, I appreciate you for reaching out as well. I look forward to a good campaign and a good race, because there are 4 great candidates running for commissioner, and I think it's going to be close.
I do too. I think it's going to be a great race, and I appreciate anybody who steps up and runs for office. I think it's a very selfless thing. Some people see it the other way. I think it's a very selfless thing. We don't make a lot of money doing being a city council person or being the mayor of a small town. Contrary to popular belief, it's not something that you really do for money. It's really something you do because you love your area. You want to serve the folks who live here. And so I just have the ultimate respect for anybody who would run for office. And that's why we do this show, just simply because we want to get more information out to the voters. We want to have an informed voter base, and without doing simple interviews like this, it just makes it really hard for people to know who's running and what they're all about. So I just want to thank everybody who's been on the show this year, all the folks from White Bluff and from Dixon for doing the show, and I appreciate you guys watching. And again, we don't have sponsors for this show. We just do it, I guess for free. I mean, I don't get paid for it or anything. I just do it because I love this area, and I want you all to be more informed about the election and things like that. So, again, let's see. Ansley, do you want to tell them when they can vote? I'm sure you know the schedule. It's Tuesday, November the 5th. You want to tell the folks, kind of how they could come out and vote?
So for Burns, it's going to be at the City Hall. It's going to be in our back room where we typically have our council meetings and planning and zoning meetings. So I'm pretty sure, I think it starts at 8. I'm not sure on the times. That would be a Jackson question. He knows more about that. But yeah, it'll be at the city hall. It'll be here all day. And if they want to come and stop and chat with me and Jackson, I know we're going to be set up at the church across the street. So if they want to talk to us before they come in, feel free to come out and hang out with us.
Awesome. Yes, so Tuesday's the big day. If you have not early voted, it's your last opportunity. Tuesday, I do think it is 8 in the morning. It's sometime in the morning, and then they'll be open all day. And as long as you're in line at 6 o'clock, I think is when it ends, as long as you're in line, at the time, they have to let you go through and vote. So if you're like, hey, I don't have time, make an effort. Try to go get in line. If you're in line before the deadline, they are going to let you vote. And and I'll say it again, and I think I've said it on every podcast that I've done. Our last election, we did not have a lot of people that came out. And so it's really important that everybody makes their voice heard. We'd love to see a big turnout this time. I think I actually voted yesterday, and at the library in Dixon, I think they told me around 9,000 people had already voted. So we already have a very big number. Very proud of that number. We'd love to see that number doubled on election day, just to see just a ton of people come out and vote. So again, Ansley, thank you so much for doing this. Folks, thank you for watching. We'll go ahead and close it out, and we'll be back hopefully with one more episode so that we can close out the election podcast here in Burns. And then I do want to mention, I've had some people ask me, hey, we'd love to hear from Rusty Grove. We'd love to hear from the council people in White Bluff who nobody's running against. I have reached out to them. We are going to try to do that. Was trying to get the candidates that were running contested elections before Tuesday, so we will be reaching out to them. It might be after the election, but I think that'll be okay because, again, they're running uncontested. So appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.